Dave Price joins us now. We're in Jackson Square. You know, things are back to normal in New Orleans when talk goes away from the storm and to two very important things, food and music.
That's true, but keep in mind, people in New Orleans still and forevermore will divide their lives into pre-Katrina and post-Katrina. Before this storm, this was a cultural center filled with all that you could see, all that you could taste, all that you could hear. But in the days, months, and even years after the storm, there was a question whether all of that would survive.
New Orleans has always been defined by its music and its food. But it will also forever be identified with the legacy of Katrina and its long struggle back from near destruction.
It's hard not to think about that storm every day.
Jeremy Davenport has been playing jazz here for more than 2 decades. After the hurricane, he left with nothing.
It was a nightmare. I left with a pair of underwear and a t-shirt and toothbrush. My life as I knew it disappeared as soon as those levees broke.
But he did return to utter devastation.
I remember that feeling of lawlessness. I mean, you could drive 100 miles an hour down the road because there's no one here.
New Orleans had been dealt a potentially fatal blow. Its economic and cultural lifeblood was decimated. Residents were gone and tourism followed. The year before Katrina, a record-breaking 10.1 million visitors made their way to the city. The year following saw close to a 70% drop. But in the face of loss, sorrow, and economic suffocation, New Orleanians showed their fierce determination.
Different groups getting together to say, hey, we're going to stay here, we're going to save our city.
For Scott Boswell, one of New Orleans' top chefs before Katrina, the storm made way for an awakening of spirit.
It changed who I am.
Unable to serve creative cuisine in his restaurant, and with no customers who could pay for it, hamburgers became a key to survival and a sign of life.
So we decided to sell burgers, chips, and a pickle, and a drink for $5. And I tell you what, those burgers saved my life, saved my company, and saved my dream.
A 5-year journey to get their heads above water has brought a rebirth in the French Quarter. Tourism, while not back to pre-Katrina levels, has improved. In 2008, 7.6 million visitors came to New Orleans. The challenges continue and the losses are not forgotten, but a joyful melody can once again be heard in the Crescent City.
You were here the day the storm hit, broadcasting from the Superdome. Can you believe the change that's happened in the last 5 years?
It's remarkable, but let's not forget in this piece we're focusing on the French Quarter, we're focusing on New Orleans, just a mile or two, as you very well know, away from here. It's a very different story, and how that area recovers is just as important to the long-term viability of this state and this region, and that remains to be seen still.
Well said.